You'll find it in roads and sidewalks, houses and buildings, bridges and dams. It literally forms the foundation of our cities, our countries, and our modern world. Hi, I'm Annie Studebaker. You may not know by looking at it, but there's a lot of history, chemistry, and technological expertise that come together into creating furniture like this. Join me as we take a look into the world of concrete. I'm Annie Studebaker, and I bring to you an abundance of knowledge from our South Texas rural communities. Follow me as I take you on a journey of inspiration and insight that will offer a deeper connection with people and businesses. It's moldable, durable, dependable, it doesn't burn, and it doesn't rust. The artificial stone known as concrete has been in use for thousands of years. The ancient Romans used it to build many famous structures that are still around today, such as the Baths of Caracalla and Pont du Gard. Today, it's used in everything from the Empire State Building to the Hoover Dam. But what is concrete? A lot of people use the terms concrete and cement interchangeably, but cement is only one of the many ingredients in concrete. Cement is a powdery substance made of calcined lime and clay that has been around practically forever. Evidence of naturally occurring cement dates back 12 million years. Its use as a binding agent can be found in structures built by the ancient Egyptians, Chinese, and Greeks. The Romans discovered that by adding sand, gravel, and volcanic ash to cement, they could make something as strong as stone. Though it was similar to what we call concrete today, they call this pozzolana cement, and with it, they built the Appian Way, the Colosseum, and the Dome of the Pantheon. Eventually, the Roman Empire fell, and knowledge of pozzolana faded away. Civilization turned back to building their structures with stone and mortar. It wasn't until hundreds of years later, in the late Middle Ages, that people rediscovered pozzolana, though they were never able to replicate what the Romans were able to do with it. What we call cement today usually refers to Portland cement. In 1824, bricklayer Joseph Aspdin patented a product created by taking finely ground clay and limestone and heating the mixture until the limestone was calcined. He named the substance Portland cement because it looked a lot like the stone found on Britain's Isle of Portland. Over the years, the process has been refined to what we have today. Limestone, clay, and other materials are crushed together and heated up to 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit in huge rotary kilns. As the material moves through the kiln, unwanted elements are burned off, leaving behind a substance known as clinker. Clinker comes out of the kiln in little marble-sized chunks. It has many advantages over ordinary calcined limestone, but the most important is that it's more chemically reactive to water. The clinker is ground down and mixed with limestone and gypsum, which helps control the rate of hardening. This is modern Portland cement. To create concrete, the cement is mixed with sand and coarse stone, known as aggregates. Adding water crystallizes the mixture, forming concrete. Aggregates make up 60 to 80% of the concrete's total volume. By increasing aggregate size, you decrease the cement requirements, reducing overall cost. This leads people to believe that aggregates are mostly filler, but there's so much more to it than that. By reducing the cement requirements, you also reduce how much water you need to put into the mix. This keeps volume change to a minimum, reducing the chances of shrinkage and cracking. Aggregates are categorized as fine or coarse, determined by what fits through a 3/8-inch sieve. Fine aggregate passes through, while coarse aggregate doesn't. You have to find the right balance, because if your aggregate is too fine, your concrete will need more water and your mix will come out too sticky or be too weak. If your aggregate is too coarse, the mix will be too hard to work with and apply. The stiffness or fluidity of concrete is known as slump. Slump is measured in inches. The greater the number, the more fluid the concrete is. Ideally, you'd like the slump to be as slow as possible. but you still want it to be workable. Most of the time, concrete is delivered with a 4-inch lump. Aggregates also come in different colors and textures, adding decorative considerations. Chemical admixtures are introduced according to the intended use of the concrete, adding water resistance or accelerating cure time. There are even air entraining agents which create tiny bubbles that help prevent freezes from causing cracks. So how does all this come together to make concrete? It can get a little complicated, so let's think of it like baking a cake. The basic ingredients of a cake are cake mix, eggs, oil, and water. The cake mix contains flour, sugar, and baking powder. Mixing in the eggs adds proteins, which help to hold the cake together, while the fats in the yolk help to keep the cake from becoming too chewy. Vegetable oil prevents the cake from being too dry. You can mix in all sorts of things like fruits and nuts to add flavor. Then you put it in the oven, adding heat for a predetermined amount of time, and voila, you have a cake. With concrete, you have cement instead of cake mix. Mixing in the aggregates made of bits of rock and sand binds and strengthens the concrete. Admixtures can speed up or slow down the process, add weather resistance, and make the mixture lighter or stronger. Instead of adding the external heat from an oven, we add water, starting the crystallization process known as hydration, hardening the concrete. This is known as curing. The concept of concrete curing instead of drying is a very important one. During curing, the concrete can't lose too much moisture and the temperature has to stay within a certain range for a long period of time. The water in the mix starts a chemical reaction with cement known as hydration. In hydration, the cement compounds form chemical bonds with the water molecules, causing the concrete to harden. If everything goes according to plan, the end product is strong concrete with minimal permeability and cracking. Preventing cracks is very important because cracks aren't only bad looking, they also weaken concrete and let in foreign materials that can harm it. Now, curing doesn't happen instantly. Concrete cures in stages. The most rapid strengthening usually happens in the first 7 days. Concrete may be considered cured after about 28 days, but the process can continue for years. This fluidity allows the concrete to be shaped into different forms, such as this bird bath and the curves on the road. This also allows for concrete to be trucked to job sites before it hardens. When we return, Shelton Posey will give us a tour of South Texas Ready Mix in Jourdanton, Texas.
You already know VTX1 offers the best in television entertainment. But did you know that we offer premium programming from HBO? Upgrade to HBO and experience hit original series like Game of Thrones and True Blood, World Championship Boxing, and the biggest and best Hollywood movies. Get 7 great HBO channels and 2 more channels for our HD subscribers. All this for only $19 a month. HBO on VTX1. We are your local provider. Call 1-800-446-2031 to upgrade today.
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer.
I'm a barber.
A waitress.
A mom.
We're all part of your community. Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good,
others not so much.
But that's life. It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty, something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
Because if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not.
It's not about paranoia
or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
One detail at a time.
because a lot of little details can become a pattern.
We
trust our instincts.
Just like you should.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
You already know VTX1 offers the best in television entertainment, but did you know that we offer the best box office hits? Upgrade to Showtime and experience the latest and greatest Hollywood movies and series you can't find anywhere else, like Penny Dreadful and Homeland, World Championship Boxing, and Mixed Martial Arts. Get 10 gray channels and 4 high-definition channels, all for only $17 a month. Showtime on VTX1. We are your local provider. Call 1-800-446-2031 to upgrade today.
Welcome back. The decision to mix your own concrete or to have professionals do it for you is an important one. You have to take into account time requirements, available space at the site, and the quality of the end product. Some contractors mix their own cement, aggregate, and water at the job site. This is called site mix. Site mix requires plenty of time to set up and plenty of space to store those piles of aggregate. There's also a big chance the proportions of the mix won't be as precise as they should be, leaving you with concrete that isn't as strong or durable as it could be. Ready-mix concrete is tailor-made, mixed at a factory ahead of time by professionals, resulting in a stronger and more efficient product. It is then driven to the worksite in truck-mounted mixers. These trucks use the revolving drum to keep the mix from setting. Once at the site, the ready mix is poured out as needed. We wanted to take a look at one of these operations for ourselves. Jourdanton Posey of South Texas Ready Mix was kind enough to show us around.
My name is Jourdanton Posey and I'm one of the owners of South Texas Ready Mix. There's a total of 5 partners in South Texas Ready Mix, me and 4 other individuals. Started the company back in July of 2012, been going strong ever since. Quick overview of the process: the trucks come in, they back under the batcher, which is behind me. We send aggregate from those piles up the conveyor in, drops in, cement silos above. They drop in the truck, of course, calculated weights, and then the truck mixes the water, the cement, the limestone and sand together to make ready mix. Cement is a piece of ready mix. You got cement, fly ash, aggregate, sand, two types of sand to make ready mix. Cement's just a component. Concrete and ready mix are one and the same, but remember, when you get a bag of Portland and aggregate, that's concrete. Ready mix is more specific to the term in a ready mix truck, how they're mixed. But the concrete, once it dried, you can call it concrete, but in the truck, it's a ready mix product. To load a truck, it takes about 4 minutes from start to finish, to back it under, to fill the water tanks, and to drop the product into the truck and mix it. 4 minutes and it leaves the plant. So the trucks come back here, they take a load and they come back and get another load. We're running 8 trucks out of here and they carry about 4 loads apiece a day. They have to spin, and when they're spinning, like on your state jobs and engineered jobs, they won't allow more than 90 to 100 revolutions on the drum, which is about 2 hours worth in the drum. So if it's older than 2 hours, the product becomes to flash inside the truck, and that way you make a decision whether, if it's that old, either to dump it on the ground or dump it into a holding area. But 2 hours is about the life of it in the truck. Depending on weather, some days cooler, lasts a little longer, but weather has a lot to do with the concrete product. That's why everybody's like, you pour concrete and they see it on the ground and they see these little eggshell of cracks, which is crazing, which is caused by the wind and the humidity. Then you see more determined cracks, which would be like a shrinkage crack, which if the wind blows real hard and it depreciates the top of the water that's on top of the concrete and it can't replenish it from underneath, that's what causes the shrinkage cracks. South Texas, what do we have? Wind and heat. You can put admixtures in. We use what's called a plastiment. We put it in there and it helps with shrinkage cracks. It's made by Sika, which does all of our chemicals and admixtures. Sidewalks, foundations, commercial foundations, just about anything that needs a pad that a building's gonna set on. Cement would be, all of our cementitious material are in those silos right there with those bag houses. And it's TC, it's got an air permit that controls the discharge of dust from the cement and whatnot. But it's kept in a completely dry silo. But it can't get water to it because it is set up. If it gets water on it, it dries. The components are the most important part, the admixtures, the aggregate, which is the limestone, sand, and then the cement and fly ash is what creates the ready mix product. All of them together make ready mix, with water, of course, as a mixing agent.
There can be some limitations to using ready mix. Once the batch is prepared, the recipe can't be changed. There is no flexibility. Since the concrete begins to cure once water is added, the job site must be located within 2 hours from the central plant. If the concrete doesn't make it in time, well, things can get messy. To overcome these limitations, metered concrete services are available. Volumetric mobile mixers, or metered concrete trucks, transport the raw materials, which are then mixed in the truck on site according to the job needs. This not only increases the service area, but also decreases the chance of a mix hardening and going to waste. Now that we know a little more about concrete, I thought it would be fun to get our hands dirty and see what we can do with it. When we return, I'll show you how to make a little something with Quickcrete.
BTX1 now offers affordable advertising rates on top-rated networks on the most popular shows. Now you can grow your business by choosing to advertise on the programs your customers watch. Take advantage of BTX1's TV coverage area and reach your customers with your own TV commercial. BTX1, we are your local provider. Call 1-800-446-2031 to get started today.
For too many parents, a baby's first steps aren't just a milestone, they're a miracle. A miracle made possible by volunteers like you, who walk and raise money in March for Babies. The money you raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Together, our steps make stronger, healthier babies a reality for thousands of families. Sign up today to take the steps that help make milestones and even miracles possible. Who will you march for?
Hi, I'm Annie Studebaker. Today I'm going to show you how to make a little paperweight, heart-shaped paperweight out of Quickcrete, which is fine concrete, and you find it in any hardware store, and it's still granular, but it's fine. Let me go over the ingredients list because this is going to be a fun project, not just for us, but for our kids. They're going to love it. It's cute, and you know Valentine's is coming up, so we have to make a heart. Anyhow, here you go. We need water to mix with the Quickcrete, and we need the tins, and here are the heart-shaped tins. Aren't they just so cute? They're going to be paperweights. And I like to use a disposable knife and spoon because I stir it with my knife and then I scoop it out with my spoon, and it works great. The tins need to have Vaseline or petroleum jelly so the concrete itself won't stick to the tins, to the molds. And we're not going to paint them on top, but we're going to mix food coloring. That way when the hearts come out, they're kind of pink and they're going to be splotchy, and that's what we're going to use as toothpick. I'll show you in a minute. And if you have your kids around, they need to learn this because it's fun. They'll love it. Now let's get started. Okay, this is my mixing bowl. It's disposable. I'm not going to keep it. So whatever you use, I recommend you use something disposable because if it dries, it's hard to take off, and number two, you don't want this down your drain. It's concrete. You don't want anything like this in your drains. Okay, so what I'm going to do carefully, because this is a lot of powder in here, we're going to pour it in here, and very carefully. Now here's water. You have to be real careful when pouring your water. You mix, pour a little bit more. I have 1 cup of Quickcrete right now, and the water, we want it to a consistency of melted ice cream or milkshake, something like that. So Be careful, don't pour too much water. So you watch me and see what I do, and it really works well. So I'm gonna pour a little bit here, and I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, we mix it, and it looks a little bit too dry. See, it's still breaking like that. We don't want it clumpy, we want it more creamy. So I'll put a little bit more. Remember, add water a little bit at a time because it really can be bad. You'll have to add more powder and stuff like that. Oh, one more thing, wear an apron when you do this because I see it just splashed. Be careful, you don't want it on your clothes either. This is a little bit, no, actually it's thinning out. This is great, it's not lumpy anymore. No clumps. This looks good. There you go, you see it? This consistency is good. I'm gonna stir it a little bit more. So, okay, now this won't take long, so what we're gonna do is just put a little bit of petroleum jelly in here and a little dab in the other tin. Tear off a little piece of your paper towel here and smear it. Just make sure that you get every corner in this little mold, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to take off. Now we'll do the other one. There we go. That's not too hard, is it? Where's my son? He could be helping, right? He's in school right now, but he's going to do one. Don't you worry. There we go. Let me show you this consistency. Maybe it's a little bit thicker than a milkshake, but this works. You don't want it too runny because then it may not dry hard enough and it may break easier. Okay, so now I'm going to put this knife aside, and that's when my spoon comes in. And now we're going to put one scoop here and one here. And we kind of divide this whole mixture among the two little tins. See there? It's looking good. I think I have another spoonful here. Not bad. Maybe this one needs just a little bit more. Looks good. Perfect. Now, very important, you need to get rid of your bubbles. And I'm going to bang this a little bit and wipe it down a little bit because you don't want all that stuff there. So what I do is I just tap it, and see tapping it, how it flattened it out, it evened it out compared to this. You see the comparison? See the comparison? I tapped it on the table, the one on my right, and it got even. This one hasn't been tapped yet and it's still very lumpy. So all you have to do is tap it. And I just saw a bubble pop. So you want that. You want to get most of these bubbles out. So you just tap them for a little bit. And the reason for this is when you flip it over and the concrete comes out, the little heart, you'll see little holes in there. That means there were too many bubbles. You know, you'll get one or two every now and then. Hopefully they're little, and it happens. But tap them. If you tap them, it helps. Okay. Much better. Let me show you the hearts before I get started. They're grayish white. Now I'm going to turn them around, face me. Oh, they look so cute. Now here's something real simple. Just open your food coloring little bottle and put 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. I'm not going to put any drops in the center right now. And then just make little swivels like that, little lines. Just with a toothpick, just do little swivels like that. You want it splotchy. You don't want an even color, an even surface, and this is how you do it. If you want evenness, this all the same color, then what you do, you put food coloring in the mix, which I've done before. The heart is pink, and then there's darker spots on it. So either way works. Now we'll do the second one. There we go, just a few dots. Do the swivels. And I kind of like this splotchiness. It's just, you know, it's something different and you don't have to paint it. Now, here's the important part again. What do? We have to flatten it. It's too lumpy on top. So again, you do that. And look at it. It's flat. Now this one, compare it with this one. This one's still lumpy and bumpy, so we don't want that. So tap it. That's it. You walk away and you let this dry overnight for 24 hours first, and very carefully you take it out of the tin and put it upside down and let it dry another 24 hours. Then it's ready to be used as a paperweight. I'll show you in a minute. You're gonna love it. I want to show you something else. While these are drying, let me go ahead and explain to you something different that you can do or your kids can do with these little heart-shaped tins and this Quikrete. So I've done the same thing that I did here, except on this one, as you can see, I've mixed the red food coloring inside the mixture and then added some more on the sides so it's darker. When it dries, it gets a little gloss on top. It's actually kind of neat. You can also paint it. If you paint it, use acrylics. We had tried temperas a while back. They don't work. They don't, and if you add on top of temperas, the colors blend. You don't want that. Acrylics work well. Okay, so let me show you. What I've done is I've used a straw, just any straw that we have these at home, and I've cut them. So as you can see, I cut it in 4 pieces, and while this is drying, what I did was stick the straw straight down, and it stays standing up, as you can see. Now this is dry, and there it is. See? Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this straw. Very carefully now, don't bend it. It has to dry another 24 hours. This has only been drying for 24. We want it to totally dry, so it's a total of 48 hours. Oh, I can feel the straw underneath, so the hole was made perfectly. So I'm removing very carefully the straw. Now, I did put petroleum jelly at the tip of the straw, so we do not want it to stick to this little decoration. Look how pretty that is. Okay, now you put a ribbon right there, hang it on your tree. It's beautiful. So this is a great Valentine's Day or just I love you gift. And let me show you one I did, but this one was painted. So here it is. I've already put a ribbon on this one. It's red, and I tied the ribbon through there, and a little hook can be put in the Christmas tree. Enjoy it, and I know your kids will enjoy it too. We've come to a close now. I hope you found this episode on concrete very educational. We've learned about the history, the chemistry, and what it takes to make concrete. So stay tuned for more Backroad Reporter shows. Until next time.